So basically, what I was going to do is I was going to share my screen, and basically we could just talk about everything on. Here, let me hit this for a minute. Did my screen come up?
Yeah, I can see it.
And by the way, congrats, Coyote, on your win in the bowl.
Thanks. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I think I got more lucky than I am good, but
Well, that was me. My bowl win. I had 17 interceptions in the playoffs. That's got to be some kind of a record.
yeah,
Maybe.
I had a pretty awful starting quarterback carry me to the bowl for some reason.
I don't know. Your quarterback has always been producing numbers for you. Even though it's
Well,
it's rated in the 30s, it doesn't matter. He just puts up numbers.
yeah, well, he does throw the ball a lot. I mean, last year he had 830 attempts. You're bound to rack up some yardage there as long as you got decent receivers.
That's true. Your game plan must be good because of I always have trouble. I'm very disappointed in my team this year because of we were doing so well until week 11. You and I were tied, and then we just fell off the cliff. We were 7-3, and just completely. I don't know what happened with us, but that's how it goes in front office football.
Yeah.
To say I was disappointed in a 5-11 season would be an understatement. But I had a game plan or a playbook that was working very, very well, and I decided that if it's not broken, fix it till it is. And I was not happy with my playbook last season at all.
Yeah, because you were what were you the year before that? Let's see. So you were 12-4, Howie,
12 and 4, and I got bounced in the conference championship game.
and the year before that, I believe you were 9-7 when you won the bowl. Correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, he beat. I think he beat me at home.
I did beat you at home. Yep.
I think I have more home playoff losses than anybody in the time span I've been in.
Yeah, that year you went Coyote. You were 14-1. That's right.
Yeah, and I hosted. I was I was the number one seed, and I lost my first playoff game, and that's happened 3 or 4 times for me.
And I
It
know.
it it, it seems like the dice reset when you get to the playoffs. So it doesn't really matter how good your team was in the regular season, as if you don't get a good dice roll in the playoffs. It seems like they're two completely different seasons almost.
Yeah. You know what? You might be right on that. Um, and Merchant Man, he did well. He was really doing well in the early season. I think what were you 8 and something, and then you started taking losses. Matt, did we lose you?
Looks like he's muted. Somebody
I'm
is.
still here. I'm still here.
Because
Oh.
I've been reading your thing in the front office football central. You
Oh
talk
yeah.
about your team, and your team was hot, and then all of a sudden it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, you can see in the schedule how bad it was.
But I agree with you, Coyote, about the dice. That's what I felt like that the dice hit me. I'm saying to myself, okay, I might go maybe 11-5 this year, 10-6 at best, and at worst, I meant, and we go 8-8. We lost every away game.
Yeah, he lost what 5 out of 6 of your last game.
Yes, we even lost to the 1-14 record team, which was who was that? And I'm saying to myself, how is this happening?
Rochester.
Yes, that's it. In any event, Then I just look back at my game plan and I said, what is it that happened to us in those games? What delayed us? What stopped our drives and stuff like that? And I noticed penalties, big. So I said, I'm going to fix that. And there was another item that I needed to fix as well. So I'm hoping that I solved the problem with the draft and some free agency stuff. And maybe we can be more competitive this coming season because of our division. Coyote is going to be tough.
Yeah, Chicago's. I mean, red zone turned them around extremely fast. I don't know. I'll be lucky if I split the games with Chicago. Honestly, I'll be lucky if I split the games with everybody. Really, because Arizona's always tough as hell too.
Arizona, I agree. Chicago was 4-7, and they made a run, and they just blew their
I
way
played them
into
in
the
a conference
playoffs.
game. Yeah, they made it to and I didn't know what the hell was going to happen in the conference game. As good as he'd been playing in the playoffs, and we managed to win.
And Arizona, same thing. Something happened in Arizona that his offense clicked and started putting points on the board because he was going to trade away his wide receiver. And then he decided to keep it because no one wanted to pick up the wide receiver. And then all of a sudden they took off.
I had his first round pick.
Oh yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. But
Sometimes.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know if he started targeting him more, but I think he led the league in receiving yards, or almost did.
Let me
Yeah,
see.
first.
We can get to that.
Yeah, he's third in receiving yards. He's number one in yards from scrimmage from 95 to 97, which that ain't nothing. That's pretty good.
Yes, it is. Where is he? He's up here. Yeah. Howie, how do you like your division? Is it going to be tough?
My division's always tough.
Yeah, you got super bot over there. That's away half the time, and then he pays attention for the draft, and he takes all the steals in the draft, and then
Yep. And it always, it always seems that I always struggle against Outer Banks, no matter if they're good or if they're bad. It was 3 years ago. I was undefeated going into I think week 14 or week 15, and I was heavily favored against Outer Banks, and I laid an egg. If I split with any teams in my division, I'm happy. Moontown's tough. Capital City's been improving every single year. Wackadoo he's not very active on the forums, but he's been building a good team. So it's a toss up.
Yes, I see that. Outer Banks they find a way. I've noticed to beat good teams for some reason. I'm always afraid. I shouldn't say afraid. I'm always worried that I'm gonna play these teams that don't have a good record, but they're gonna just find a way to just beat us. And these are the games that you need to win to get into the playoffs. Because it's hard enough playing the tough teams.
yeah, especially when your division, you're the worst team in your division was 8-8. There's not a whole lot of room for error there.
No, there isn't. Oh, actually,
The difference between our division being the last and first is three or four wins. I mean, that's like 2 games in your division. If you can beat the number one team, split the game with the number one team, then that's a 2-game swing right there.
Matt, I feel bad for you and the Merchantmen playing in the AOC. I mean,
Yeah.
Gothenburg's always tough. Tucker's the evil empire, right? They're never going to be worse than 13-3. It seems.
His quarterback retires.
Oh yeah, well he'll just draft another one, right? Or
in the 6th round or something.
or something like that. And then with I don't think there's anybody happier than UCV when Zach retired and then came back in the AOC. You know,
Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
I mean,
he can play in the IHOF as long as he's as far away from my division as possible.
Yeah, I saw the damage he did to you guys. Now he's over at what, Fort Wayne,
Yeah, I'm
and
just waiting for
building
him to.
his dynasty.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to take over that division.
It's like the Death Star. You don't know what's going on. He's out there doing his thing.
Yeah, I think I only won the division once whenever he was here, and I was like 14-2 that time or something. I made the playoffs a bunch of times, but I just never won the division because he was putting up ridiculous stats, and it was impossible to defend. And I still, to this day, I still don't know how the hell he was doing it. I guess we're gonna find. I saw he picked up Toronto's quarterback, Shane Shelton. That ought to be interesting to see if he can jumpstart his career. Because I think he was kind of a disappointment in Toronto.
Let's see here. Let me get over into.
Yeah, that guy's gonna fit in his system.
How can I get over there to my thing?
It's pretty interesting what he's been able to do with game plan wise. As much as he throws the ball, well, whenever he was Kansas, as much as he threw the ball, and he was extremely successful at that.
He's got like 19 million quarterbacks on this team. Do you see this?
I see this. He's probably just trying to find a good one.
Yes.
I mean,
There you go.
he might have a mentor there somewhere.
He probably
Mm-hmm.
does. He's got one, and all the
Yeah.
affiliates, some little conflicts, but yeah, he knows. I shouldn't even talk. I just started with this front office football 8, so I'm just a beginner, and I'm just working my way around. But I hear a lot about T-Zac and stuff like that. I guess from the other guys from the other YouTube videos, they've been talking about how well he plays and puts together teams.
Yeah, I mean, I look at those receivers that were in Kansas when you got there. I mean, he had some outstanding. I mean, Zimmerman is.
Yes.
It's so hard to game plan for a guy like that because he has 100 route running. I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do? you know, I usually put my best corner on him, but that doesn't even. You almost have to double him, but then if you double him, the other receivers are going to tear you up. So you're just kind of. I just kind of throw something out there and just hope it sticks. I hope I outscore you pretty much. That's it.
Forrest did well for me. He gave me 62 completion, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So it wasn't that bad. We only threw for 597 times, as opposed to I know those people throwing at 700 times. I'm just trying to find a balance, but my running game just hasn't been there
I
at all.
think I think Howie probably has a pretty good balance on that stuff.
Well,
It seemed like it was pretty difficult to game plan against him
and
whenever he was doing
that's
good.
what I really, really struggled with this year was getting my running game going. I think I was 31st or dead last in my run game, and
let's
that's kind of how I build my team is I want to be able to run the ball on first and second down, and then have an entirely open playbook on third down. And I could not get the ball going on the ground at all, either between the tackles or outside the tackles. My offensive line is aging out a little bit. So hopefully I'll make some strides there. I was not planning on drafting a center in the second round at all, but my scout had what's his name there, Louis Langenberg. My scout had him as the top rated player in the draft. So when he was still around at 2.7 or 2.8, whenever I drafted, I couldn't pass him up. So hopefully he'll be the linchpin to an offensive line that'll get me running the ball again.
I see him right here.
Yeah, I think a center is crucial for your running game.
I also think having a good O-line cohesion is extremely important for running the football.
Yes, it is.
Also, on the flip side of that, having good front seven cohesion is extremely important to stopping the run. Because I don't even try to stop the run. I don't. I really don't care much about running the football. I don't care much about stopping the run. But last year I had like the a top five run defense or something, and it's because on my front seven cohesion was like 93. It's hovering around 90 to 95 all season, depending on who I had in my starting lineup.
Let's see here. We can go into team stats and we can look at run defense and we can go to 2097. And you're right here, right above me.
Number Yeah, number two. You were number one.
And the pass defense, you're at the top.
Last.
That's okay. I'm not far behind you. And Arizona is right there with us.
Yeah, that just seems to be
There's
our
there's
division.
our kryptonite in
I
our
think
division.
Yeah, I think the pass yardage or the defensive yardage is more of a product of who you play against than how good your defense actually is. So for like looking at pass defense, I usually look at quarterback rating allowed is what I usually judge pass defenses off of, because that's really all that matters. If you're harassing the quarterback at a good rate, then you're going to have a good defense.
Merchant Man, you're right, dead in the center with your pass defense. And Howie with the Sharks, you're down underneath Tucker. So what I look for, which I was terrible in, was red zone. And my red zone was 48 times getting down there, and I put it in 25 times, 19 field goals out of it, 4.8, which is awful. I want to be at the 5.5 mark. So I look back at my game plan and I say to myself, what is it in my red zone game planning that I'm not doing correctly, that I'm not putting the ball in? And by the way, Zimmerman is terrible this year at third down catches. He was really bad for me. And I was very upset about that. So that hurt us as well. So if I look at my guy, take this off.
It does make sense because it's his weakness.
Yes.
Yes, that's another thing I do whenever I'm game planning. I always put together my third down plays first, so that way I get my best third down receivers are going to be my primaries, and my secondaries are also going to be good third down receivers. So it doesn't matter if you double somebody or not, or the quarterback wants to go to secondary, he's still going to be a good third down receiver, because a third down is the most important down in football, obviously.
Hmm.
But I'm that being said, I'm probably still not that great at third down because I was dealing with a lot of long yardage situations because of how much I throw the ball and how accurate my quarterback is at throwing the ball.
Do you guys like your first round picks? Did you get the players you wanted, or did other players get taken before you wanted to get that player?
Um, Somebody else want to go first while I remember?
Like,
Looking.
like for me, I wanted to build my line, so I went after the first left tackle, which was Reed, who I had higher than the other guy I picked. And then I said I'm going to move up, and so I traded to move up to get the other left tackle, which is Alec. And
I
so
see.
those are the two, and the other guy, my first one was this guy right here. And I'm hoping that they pop based upon their um, their combine. So
Yeah, I really like that Alec guy. The pass blocking near max or at max. That's pretty important in a tackle, depending
because
on what you're doing.
you guys were killing me, my division, like Coyote, your guys were coming in and just sacking the hell out of my guy, and so I need to keep him upright or stop the knockdowns or the hurries, which is another part of the incompletion. So I said, let me get myself some linemen. And then the next one in round two, I went after a center. Now, all the other centers were taken, so Omar was my third center on my list. So I was able to grab to grab him here, which I was very happy that he was there. So one of the three I was able to get outside of that. So that was my game plan from the beginning. Let's just get offensive linemen who are smart on my team that can play.
I was looking at a wide receiver for my first pick the whole time, and actually it was Donnie Olszewski, Olowski, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah. He is the
Olszewski.
top ranked receiver for
Oh, you
me
mean
too.
this guy right here?
Olszewski.
Yeah, that guy. So I'm actually happy he went first because he wasn't. I didn't have him rated as the best receiver in the draft. Um, I was looking at either Dustin Mathis, Vinny Busey, or who I had was the top rated wide receiver was Teddy Austin. But I don't think I don't think there was a lot of combine data on Austin if I remember correctly, and
Yeah.
I didn't like. I don't think I liked Busey's route running. Um,
Austin had low route running too.
yeah,
Obusey.
so it was a toss up between those three. And I ended up going with Mathis because he had the better route running, even though I think he was the third best wide receiver according to my scouts. So I'm happy with him. I mean, they were all three of them were close, and I think when Ben posted today, I think his scout had them all rated kind of 61, 62, and 63. So it's not like I passed on a guy that had a rating of 75 to get a 61 wide receiver. So I'm happy with that. We'll see how he plays out.
Don't go by my. You're seeing my scout. My scouts are awful.
I really,
Oh yeah.
So
I
you
really
guys are probably seeing much better.
like Busey. He was one of my top receivers. Of course, he's a purple group guy, a cheerful, so that's gonna move him way up my draft board just being that. Plus that route running there. I don't know what you had, but that's about what I had. For some reason, my offensive scouting's not that great, even though I got good scouts.
My guy is below average, so that kind of gives you a sense of where my scout is.
Howie, are you using the draft analyzer, or what are you using for?
I try to use the draft analyzer. I don't read it very well. I got a I don't even. I think Rick sent me over. It's a high bar weight constraints that Flex D did some time ago that I use. I wish I was on my computer. I could pull it
Oh,
up and try to share it with you, but it's on a different computer.
making sure I'm recording. Yes, we are. Um, yeah, I don't use the draft analyzer guys either.
I like it. I like the draft analyzer because it kind of sorts through some of the trash for you. If you get your weights set halfway decent, anyway. Plus, I like how it you can predict chemistry with it, which is a big deal for me.
Oh, it allows you to do that as well.
Yeah, you can put in what your group leaders' birthdays are
Oh
and
yeah.
how much you want to weigh that to your list, and then it'll tell you that this guy's affinity, this guy's conflict. It doesn't tell you like if they're sociable or cheerful or anything. I wish it did, but I'm not smart enough to figure out something like that.
Matt, you picked this person here. Is this Arizona's first round pick that you got?
No, I traded both first round picks to move up.
Oh, you did.
Right.
Actually, I had a deal for the number 4 pick. Then I realized that the number 4 pick is way too expensive in cap space, so I decided not to make the trade. Then I traded for the number 7 pick and got the same player that I actually wanted to get. So um, I was pretty happy with how it worked out. Um, it's very interesting to see what your scout makes of this guy because
Yeah.
when you look at my scout, he's actually almost maxed out in endurance.
Yeah, mine's
Wow.
three-fourths the way up. Mine's like 41 to 81.
So here's my scout so you guys can see. Hold on.
Yeah, I got to look at your offensive coordinator.
There it is. So you can see
Oh,
how
yeah.
he's below average. He's like a 47,
How do you even make sense of any of that?
which is kind of shocking between the combine and whatever I can see. I was able to grab a couple of guys in the previous drafts that have been panning out in my favor. So it's been working. So I'm wondering what's going to be like when I do get a scout that is very good. Because of
It's
last,
like playing a different game. It really is.
it is,
Yeah.
it is. Because last year I took this guard, and I was way, way down, and I can't find it. We'll do this, do this. So I don't know how on your side what it's looking like, but my guard, who I took, based with crappy scouts, I was able to pull this guy out, and I'm showing
Even
him
even
as
crappy scouts can be corrected sometimes. So
so.
I think it's very similar to what I'm seeing. So
Oh, is it?
yeah,
Let me get back to the draft now.
it's in its third year already. So
How about you, Coyote? Do you like your cornerback you picked all the way at the?
I was just kind of not really because I'm so deep at corner anyway. I'm so deep in my secondary that I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with him.
you're gonna you're gonna double our wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw him in my nickel probably against three wide receivers. Throw him my nickel there. It depends on what that zone looks like. Whenever.
Well, my scout's showing he has great interception ability. So
Yeah, that's something I've been recently going for in my secondary. If you look at my secondary, I got some pretty big interception bars there.
let's see.
Sometimes it helps out, sometimes it doesn't. Like I don't know, I think I only had like one or two interceptions in the playoffs or something.
So this is how I'm seeing your players.
But yeah, I don't start Hawkins. He's just there for special teams and kick returns.
Then you got Jeffrey Warren, who's got
Yep.
good bump and run, and then you have Kemp.
Yeah, Kemp's just there for the mentorship. That's about it. And special teams, I think. Yeah.
And then you got Sebastian, who's very good.
Yeah, I lucked into him somehow. I don't even remember how. But I don't I don't think you can have too many good defensive backs. I can replace my Musey. I can replace Musey with that first round guy that I got, and it'll be an upgrade. And then I'll have I'll have him for whenever one of my safeties takes a ratings hit or they retire. He'll be a pretty good safety, I think. So it's nice to have a backup plan there. And he was kind of the best player available for me that fit my chemistry. And I don't think there was anybody else that I was too awfully interested in at the back there because there's some tight ends there I wanted. Williamsburg took two of them, and then Chicago took the other one, and that kind of just left me taking defense again.
Do you guys think you guys going to make the playoffs this year coming up?
Um, that's really a crapshoot for me. I don't know. Depends on how good Chicago gets.
Yeah, Chicago's going to be very dangerous. How are you think you're going to take your division?
I'm hoping just for a wild card, to be honest. Um, we'll see with my quarterback if he plays well and I can score some points. I mean, anything's possible. I think my secondary's in shambles a little bit. Um, I got a couple of conflicts that I didn't realize that I had until going over it right now. Um, so I don't know how well my defense is going to play. I think it's all going to play. How well I play this year is going to depend on how many points I score. That's where I really struggled last year with scoring points. So if I can put points up and outscore people, I have a chance. But if I'm going to go and run a 3-and-out offense, it's going to be tough.
I
I
think.
remember
Go
I
ahead.
remember when I remember when you drafted that quarterback, and I was thinking like, damn, I should trade it up for that guy. He's turned out extremely good, extremely good.
Oh, he turned out very well. And I think I got him. I can't remember if I traded with Big Bob or if it was by Lanta, but I was ready to trade away like three drafts, every draft pick to get that guy. Because at that point, I think I was maybe 6 months into playing the game. I hadn't had a quarterback. My offense wasn't doing anything, and when he came up on the board, I was like, you know what, I'm making the move to get this guy, no matter what it takes. So I would have thrown every single draft pick for 3 years to get the guy. So I think that worked very well, and worked out very well for me.
Is
Yeah,
this
I was trying to figure out a way to do that because I had another quarterback, Eric Keith, and I had two really good wide receivers that I was spending a bunch of money on, and I just couldn't fit it under my cap, and I couldn't come up with the draft capital to move up that far and get that guy. But it turned out really good for you, and I am just stuck in quarterback purgatory. I haven't had a good quarterback. I've never drafted a good quarterback, actually. It's not something I'm very good at, apparently.
are you guys talking about Vitalik?
Yeah,
Yes.
clearly.
Yeah, that's one of these days I'll have a good quarterback.
It seems it is hard to grab a good quarterback, and
You
he
got to be you got to be top 5, and there has to be a quarterback show up for you. Like one year, the year I took Levine, my receiver Levine, I had the 1-1 and the 1-3 pick because I traded with Atlanta. I had their 1-1 before it was even a 1-1. And the only thing, there was no quarterback to draft. I drafted Levine, and I drafted a tight end that didn't really work out for me very well.
Oh, I know. I was so pissed at that draft because I
Oh
think
yeah, you were number 2.
I had
You
this.
took
I had this. I had the second pick, and I was like, you know what? If he's got to take a quarterback, so I'm going to get that receiver. And sure as shit, the draft class got revealed, and there wasn't a single quarterback that was. I think that went in like the top 3 rounds, and I was so mad.
I was too. I feel you there. I was extremely mad. I was like, I'm finally going to get a good quarterback. I want to build my offense around a good quarterback, so that way I know what my chemistry groups are. And then the draft class got revealed, and it was one receiver that was only. I mean, I don't know how many receivers were taken in the first round that year, but if I remember right, I think Levine was the best receiver out of that class, and there might have been one or two other ones that turned out decent.
I got my wide receiver in the same
Oh, that's
round.
right. Yeah, you got what the hell
Fields.
was his name?
he
You always find a way. You always find a way to get a purple group receiver, no matter
is
where
it
you're drafting
is it
at.
is it this guy Schultz?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a kind of an enigma to me because he's been uh, uh, he basically didn't develop for like 3 seasons, and then out of nowhere his potential completely vanished. So it's one of those weird players that uh, just doesn't develop into their potential. But I'm still getting, what is it, 1200, 1400
1400.
yards
Yeah.
out of this guy. So
11 touchdowns, 6.9 yards per attempt, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. That
yeah,
is.
But yeah, in that draft, it was pretty barren. in that draft, and I had 2 top 5 picks, so I'm not happy about that.
Well, you have a Coyote. You have a good tight end. That's that
I
caused
didn't.
this guy a headache in the bowl game. Julio was ripping his hair out because of your tight end was all over the place.
Yeah, because you can't double tight ends. You can only double receivers, and then it's when you double a receiver, it's based on the route running. So it's the highest route running will be the best. When it says double best, you're doubling the highest route running receiver. Double second best is of course going to be the second best route running receiver. So I think he was trying to double that tight end, but he didn't realize that you couldn't double tight ends. And as much as I throw to my tight ends, that's kind of one of the reasons I kind of built my offense around tight ends because you couldn't really double them. Because that's how he beat me whenever I was 14-1, and if I remember right from the game logs, all he did was double Levine and just spy my quarterback, and I couldn't do shit on offense.
And I played an awful lot of that Tampa 2. So if your tight end was going to beat me, it wasn't going to be. I wasn't going to give it the big play to him unless he caught a short pass and then broke out. That's why I love the 4-3. Is because all those teams that have a solid tight end, I'll just run Tampa 2 in line in the middle of the field and hope that it shuts it down. It was that year that I went to the bowl. Quick and the Chitterlings had a great tight end in Farmer. I mean, that was my game plan.
Yeah,
I ran that Tampa 2 all over the field, and I shut his tight end down. He didn't do anything. He didn't have an answer to it. So no, that's giving up a little of my defensive philosophy. But that's how I neutralize a good tight end. Is I'll play that Tampa 2.
yeah. I use a lot of Tampa 2 whenever I see a team that's throwing deep in normal situations, uh, more frequently than average. I'll throw in a Tampa 2 instead of a cover 2. You know,
Ben's team throws a lot of deep passes.
I know that's kind of how I completely rebuilt my playbook last year from scratch and my game plan. And I was looking at teams like Tucker and Kansas when Zach was there, and I was just kind of getting ideas from them. And I saw how often Ben threw deep, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that. So my first 4 games I was throwing deep a lot, way too much, and that's how I got destroyed by Williamsburg 7-45. And then after week 4, I kind of
Yeah,
adjusted it down.
that's one of those things when you overdo something, the game will really, really punish you.
Yeah, you got to kind of find a sweet spot in there, and I don't even know if I found a sweet spot, but I found a sweet spot that was sweet enough that I won a bowl game. It's kind of a high variable offense. Either you're going to score 40 points or you're going to score 20 points. You don't.
Yeah, because of you, Coyote, threw 138 times deep passes for an
What was my
average
yards?
of
What was
eight
my average?
8.28.
Yeah, see, whenever that average, that you want to have your passing average preferably over 7 yards per attempt for your quarterback, but I have rarely been able to get there. But the higher that yards per pass are, the better you're doing with your offensive game plan.
You were up there right with Ben. Ben threw 137.
Yeah, I just copied his. I figured out what percentage of deep passes he had and made that into a game plan.
Wow, Arizona threw 149. So Mech is also following you guys. And Toronto 146 times a deep pass. So there's about 4 of you guys um, that are really out there.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if you guys remember the previous Frederick owner. Um,
Oh yeah,
Darren Messiah. He had. I remember he had an awesome team. He had a really good quarterback, some really good receivers, and he was throwing the ball a lot, as much as Zach was. but he wasn't getting the
Even more.
production.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting the production, and I looked into his miscellaneous pass offense, and I noticed he was hardly throwing deep. So I think it's important to have a proper amount of deep passes in there to keep the defense honest and capitalize on some of the miscues. Even if you don't complete a lot of them, you're still getting 8 yards, whatever. I was getting 8.5 yards an attempt.
Howie threw 96 times deep for 10.70, and Merchant Man, you threw. Where are you? Oh, here you are. You're underneath me. You threw 103, so you're up there too.
Yeah.
A 33% completion on that for 99.53. So you guys are really the deep ball throwers. Um, yeah, and it shows, I guess, in your touchdowns as well from your quarterbacks.
Yeah. I know. I increased the deep throwing to actually make that wide receiver that we looked at. Yeah, play better. So
Your wide receiver. Hold on.
Schultz. Yeah.
Let me get to your team.
I don't. Do any of you guys have an input on what big play receiving is versus getting downfield?
So the what I know about it is that big play receiver is for guys that can sprint past a defender and you throw deep passes to them. So if you're a deep passer, uh, you want receivers on your team that have the big play receiving to catch those deep passes. That's what I know. Getting downfield is me hitting a guy on a slant and they catch it like a Jerry Rice and just takes off afterwards and gets yards after the catch. That is my understanding. I might be incorrect, but someone can correct me on this.
I used to think that big play receiving is uh, the way to go for deep passes, but I've I've come to learn that it's kind of the other way around. You need to have getting downfield skills to have a player make the catches and the deep ball, the deep passes. So and big play receiving helps to get yards after catch. That's how I've learned
Okay. There you
to.
go.
Yes, my understanding is that big play receiving is kind of the yards after the catch, the ability to catch the ball and then make break a tackle, make a big play off of that, and then getting downfield is getting the receiver getting depth in his pass routes. So if you're running a curl route, that kind of sits at that 13 to 15 yard range,
I think it's 9 to 12.
or 9 to 12. If you got a guy that doesn't have good getting downfield, it's going to be kind of on the lower end of that
Maybe like a
range.
6.
And a guy that has the higher getting downfield is gonna get that going to get the extra yards. So if you're sitting at third and 9, and your primary target might have a great third down catching skill, but his getting downfield is low, he might not get that first down because he's not reaching the sticks.
That's why I'm 8-8, and these guys won the bowl.
But again, take all that from me with a grain of salt because I have been playing this game for literally just over a year. I think I started right before COVID hit was when I started with the multiplayer. So I'm as green as they come.
Yeah, I started playing 2 or 3 years ago. I just pretty much just joined this league and just started learning on the go.
Wow.
I took over a really good team from Squirrel.
Your teams have actually been winning bowl games. My team hasn't made the playoffs in a long time, so
Well, we get to the playoffs and go one and done, so I'm not sure I get very very far there.
yeah.
If you Claystone, if you can pull up my wide receiver Gillespie, he's a case of somebody I've been trying to see. Now last year I threw this guy a bunch of deep passes, but he has an avoid drops of 2, and he just dropped everything that was thrown his way, and it was incredibly frustrating to watch the Soul Vision and just see this guy dropping pass after pass after pass. So I don't really know what to do with this guy.
So he was dropping, let's see. Yes, he had 14. Wow.
Yeah.
I think you can only throw the ball very short to this guy.
See, I always look at stats and I say to myself, is it a one-time thing that this happened to that player, or is it a consistent thing? And so you're gonna have to watch him again to see if he does put up 12 to maybe 11 drops, and then Coyote, he's gonna be in that ballpark always. Because if you
Yeah,
look,
I think
because if you look at the other time, he only had five. But how many plays did he play? He played 400. Oh yeah, you know what? He will be in that stage because the year before he was in 403 passing plays. If you double that, 806, then he will have maybe 10 drops. So he will be in that range.
I'm, if Merchant is right about the big play receiving, I think I've been using him wrong the whole time, and I've had him for 2 years. So I might have that might have been some user error there in those drop numbers. So you think I should, instead of throwing him deep, throw short to him?
Maybe I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure. But when
The
you look
reason
at
I
my receivers, they're all very bad at avoid drops. Not 2 out of 100, but still just 20, 30. Uh,
Which one would you like me to see? No,
just
not
look
that.
at Schultz and
Okay, hold on.
Stucky.
yeah
He's been
I
like
don't
that
generally
since forever. So
I don't generally pay a whole lot of attention to the
Wow.
avoid drop number.
uh,
He
yeah, and I don't mind either. I'm just like, well, maybe he's gonna drop the ball one time per game, but my
That's about what Gillespie was averaging one time a game. But they were extremely high leverage drops. They were like on 9 routes and 7 routes, and you know he's not dropping a pass for 5 yards. He's dropping a pass for 35 yards.
with my old wide receiver, he was always dropping the ball on third and 10 and third and on the crucial third down plays.
Yeah, high leverage situation.
And that guy is going to be a Hall of Famer because he's second or third all time in receiving yards. But uh, uh, not this guy, but my previous star wide receiver,
Bondi, Theodore Bondi.
Bondi. Yeah,
Yeah, dropping passes drive me crazy, especially when you're trying to drive the ball down and you need that first down, and all of a sudden it's a drop pass, and you're just like, really? Now?
Yeah, there was forget who I was playing. It might have been Arizona. I think it was Arizona that Gillespie had like 2 or 3 drops in that game, and it was just incredibly frustrating to watch on the Souls Vision. And it was a close game, and it's I don't know. I just need to target somebody else a little bit more, take some targets away from him, and add him to one of my other players, tight end preferably.
Yeah, because every game, especially when you're playing your division rivals, is so crucial. So every mistake is magnified because you just need it, unless you're just gonna get blown out.
Yeah, and something I just started doing this year, surprisingly, was I started watching my games on Soul Division instead of just getting on the forums and seeing the outcome, and
yeah.
that adds an incredible amount of fun to just this whole experience. If you guys don't already do that, I would recommend just trying it if you want. I mean, it don't take that long anyway. You got to do a little bit of reading. I usually do it in the morning whenever I'm drinking coffee.
And it just
Uh,
gets you like on the edge of your seat when it's like a close game, and you're like,
Yeah,
when the
yeah, like
when the sim times were later on the day, uh, I used to come home from work, and the first thing I did was watching the game in Soul Vision. So uh, I'm familiar with what you're saying, but now it's just uh, the results are posted when it's my lunchtime. So I'm just quickly browsing through the box score, and I do read the whole play-by-play, uh, but it's mostly because I also write about my team on Front Office Football Central. So to make a good report on what happened, I'm still uh, going play-by-play, but I haven't watched a lot of games on Soul Vision recently. I actually tried one, but I quit the I quit when my quarterback got hurt on the fourth or fifth play of the game. So
Yeah, I think that's something you want to do whenever your team's winning. It's fun to watch the games whenever you have a good team that's
yeah,
winning.
that is
But I do agree with you guys, Coyote. It does help you with your game planning as well. You're seeing your mistakes and
true.
you're like, okay,
Yeah,
here are my big errors, and you start drawing red lines around them because it keeps coming up because you're watching the game and you're constantly seeing this recurring mistake. And so I can see how that's a positive. Besides being the entertainment of you not knowing how the outcome of the game's going to be.
Yeah, there
true.
was especially in the playoffs, they were incredibly intense games there. I think there was one where my cornerback Ogden had like a 90-yard or 80-yard pick six or something, and I was literally cheering in my house. Was sitting here alone. I was like, "Yeah, go, go!"
Oh,
That's
that's all.
awesome.
It is. That's why I wanted to do this because I thought it just makes us more engaged in our league. Because I saw these guys do the videos and I'm like, that's cool. It got me more involved in playing, watching those things. Because I can never play single player. The only thing I do for single player is to do game plans and see if they work or not.
Yeah,
Outside of
me
that,
too.
I don't even touch it.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever like played this game in single player. I've always
I,
just messed around.
I've been playing this game since 2000, and I haven't played single player since 2004 when we started with the International House of Football. So when multiplayer came around, it was just no single player.
You've been
And
around you've been around here a pretty long time. I don't Do you have any cool stories from way back when?
wow, 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 we've been playing for, well, 17 years, so it's a very long time. When I say it, it's like, wow, playing the same game every week after week after week after week. Wow.
Yeah, imagine how Ben feels simming the same game week after week after week.
I started, like I
He's
was
still doing
telling
it, yeah.
everybody, I started back in 2004, 2005. And I remember I helped start the GML League. And at that time, they didn't sim the whole league in one shot. We would sim certain games during the week. You play one game every day.
Just like in IHOF.
Yes, and it was like that. That's how it was set up. But it was you were just going to be a GM, and you didn't game plan. Just you would just be
Nice.
the GM and pick the players and make sure the players played, and the coaches of the system will do the game planning, and that's how the game was set up. And then I forgot who the other guy was, the other GM that wanted to start this league, and I said, sure, well, I'll help you start it. So I reached out to Ben, and I said, Ben, because he has that cool website, as we all know, with the bells and whistles. And I remember telling him, Ben, I'll buy one of your websites because I want to start up the GML league. And at the time, he didn't want to sell it, so I said, then can I have you be our commissioner? And I was able to get Ben on that into the GML league, and he's been there ever since. I left front office football. I forgot when, It was before Front Office Football 8 ever came out. And then I took a break from it. And then I came back just recently because I joined you guys in 2095. That's when I came to finally play. So I've been away for a while. So I'm learning now the Front Office Football 8. But that was the time I was in the multiplayer leagues back then. So they were a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I had front office football 7, but I didn't. I I think he added the game plan the way it is in 8, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Yeah, true.
I didn't like the spreadsheet like looking of the previous game planning, so it's kind of hard for me to understand. It seemed like there's a steeper learning curve with that kind of game planning than the way it is now, where we have actual plays.
Mm.
That is
Well,
true. That is true because it's less control. You don't have that much control. You have more control now than you did back then.
Yeah, so like if I have a receiver that doesn't have very good courage, I know for a fact that I can make sure he does not go over the middle for a pass.
Correct. And I don't think back then you knew which player was penalized. I'm just trying to remember. Do you remember that, Matt? If that happened?
it's also from this version, so
And I've been dying to make another front office football. I try to reach out to Jim and a partner of ours. We were trying to see if we can maybe buy or develop another game with Jim, but he never reached back out to us. And that's how serious we were to do something. And then when I found out that he sold his code to somebody else, I was kind of like bummed out.
Do we know who he sold his code to? Are they going to do anything with it, or what?
My
Are we just stuck
speculation,
with 8 forever?
my speculation is, as a business person, would be the people who are doing the football simulation right now. As if I was them, I would buy Jim's code to make sure no one else can compete against us. That's what I
Who's
think. I think they bought it to stop it from being sold anymore, and you can't compete now with their product that's going to be out in the market.
hmm, I didn't even know anybody was making another football sim.
What is the other one? Day football day something that's out there right now?
draft day,
Yes, that's it.
something.
Draft day. I'm not saying they did it. I'm just saying that that's what I think came about. If we don't hear any more about his football simulation, I would think that's what happened.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a shame that what happened with Jim happened that way. With the out of the park developers or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
That
I
could
would.
have been that
Well,
could have been fantastic if they if we had front office football with a little better of a UI. I mean, that's really all you need.
I was waiting for the front office football 9 as well, and yeah, it could have been like another out of the park baseball. But between you and I like front office football 8.
Yeah,
Um,
I love this game. I mean, I don't ever plan on stopping playing this game. It's kind of just become part of my morning routine. I usually do all my shit in the morning for it, so I just send my export in the morning, and then every morning that's what I do.
I'll ask one last question to you guys. Who do you think, because I said this before, who do you think is going to be on the rise?
Ooh. Uh,
For me, I can say from art, I'm seeing Chicago and Brooklyn.
Yeah, Chicago makes sense because there's finally a general manager or an owner who's actually getting that Brady Ladner guy actually do good things.
I
He's
know
been
it's kind of cool to see and kind of a pain to see for me. But it's I've played against him for a long time and he just hasn't really been that great except for last year. Towards the back half of the year, he was on fire, and in the playoffs.
I mean, I'd like to see Harlem, keep improving. They have a new GM. Well, this is his second season. Um, I mean, already he's topping the AOC North, even though I mean that's a terrible division to begin with right now. But you know, 8-8.
X-Com's team. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I think they're on the up and up. Um, Williamsburg,
Oh
they
yeah, Williamsburg's always tough.
they're always tough, and I think Williamsburg is in the
Chesapeake.
same situation that you are, Coyotes. They don't have a quarterback, and he plays streaky, where he'll play 2 or 3 games where he's really really good, and then he'll throw 6 interceptions in a game and get blown out. Um,
Yeah, which is kind of funny because um, Grimm is one of the people that helped me actually learn the game. I've talked to him a ton about the game and asked him a bunch of questions, and he's kind of just helped me learn the ins and outs of the game. And it's kind of funny that our teams just kind of resemble each other without being on purpose that way.
Well, it's funny because it's the same thing with Juggernaut in Oakland. I reached out to him a couple of times for some advice on running the ball, and it was that the season that I went 15-1. I'm looking at my stats and his stats, and it's literally identical. And it was not my intention to copy his to copy his template to a T, but it's what I did. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
But his team's always, even though that one season he fell a little bit, but he just came right back.
yeah. He used to be the GM of San Antonio, didn't he? And
true. Yeah, he was.
I don't know if he just didn't have enough time, but I don't. It just seems like Oakland is just a juggernaut ever since he got there. No pun intended. I mean, it's just Oakland's going to be in the playoffs. You're going to have to beat Oakland.
Look at that.
Yeah,
He had a quarterback rating of 105. Haskin.
Yeah, and it's amazing because he don't throw the ball that often, but his quarterbacks are always incredibly efficient. Maybe that's just because he doesn't throw the ball that often.
no, I think that's a big part of it. I think the year that Jeremiah Farley led the league in rushing for Texas. Vital had one of his most productive years ever, but he wasn't throwing the ball a lot because they didn't need to. It was 4 yards on first down, 6 yards on second down, 12-yard play action pass on third down, and then back to pound play action pass, pound pass. So I think running the football definitely opens up the passing game a lot. I know that Zach, with Kansas, used to like to pass and pass and pass, but red zone says it's, and I agree with him, is if you really want to have sustained success and you're not Zach, you have to be able to run the football when you need to.
yeah,
Well, look at Julio in Guttenberg. He won 12 straight games. So he starts off losing, and then he just goes on a tear.
Yeah, I mean he's been fantastic the last whatever 8 in
well,
game years.
yeah.
It's just well, yeah, you play against him in the same division, so I feel sorry for you, but
Very true. Very true.
I feel extremely sorry for you. But
He's
I
been
mean,
dominating this division
yeah,
for the
I
last
mean,
decade in game years. So yeah,
yeah, and then he's won what one bowl game? Yeah,
yeah. I think he's been to the conference game like 5 or 6 times in a row.
yeah. I'm looking at the history page here on the IHOF, and it looks like since '88 he's been one, two, three, four, five, 6 conference games since '88.
Looking at
He's
Okay.
won
periods.
4 of them. No, 7. Sorry, 7 conference games. He's won 4 of them. So he's been to the bowl game 4 times in 9 years.
Impressive.
Yeah, you can't really get any. You can't ask for a better performance than that out of a long time frame.
And the thing is that his quarterback isn't even very reliable, but he's getting it done. So
Yeah, whenever I was game planning for him, I wasn't really worried about stopping the pass. I knew we had enough talent in the secondary that we could stop him. I was more worried about the run game and that Steven Irons guy.
His quarterback put up 42 touchdowns. Quarterback rating of 106, 7.78 average on passing.
I think
And
it's
he's
been his best season
Yes.
so far.
and he's thrown 470 times. Not bad. Yeah. Let's see.
No, I mean that's back to teams on the rise. Yeah, I think Chicago's going to be tough in the NAC. Chicago, you got the Mid Atlantic Division is probably going to be pretty tough with Frederick, Chesapeake, Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I think Frederick needs a little more time to rebuild, but those Chesapeake, Williamsburg, and Brooklyn, that's just going to be a three-way race every year between those guys. I think you can always count on Chesapeake to be good. You can always count on Williamsburg to be good. Brooklyn's good. It ain't. I think Texas is going to be a lot better next year. I think they'll be able to win their division. I don't know. Other than that, Arizona might come out of nowhere in air quotes to make a playoff run. I
I
could see that happening. It seems like he's building a pretty good affinity group here, yellow.
And Arizona always seems to just kind of be on the cusp of going either way. Like you look at the roster's talented enough to get 10 or 11 wins, and he just always seems to kind of teeter at that 7-9, 10-6 kind of mark. So I think at some point he'll get over that hump for sure. Kind of give
Yeah.
you and give Iowa and Kansas a run for their money. I'd like to see that.
I wouldn't like to see it.
Not at all. I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
He went from in 2095, he was 3-13. Then the following year, he moves up to 6-10. So he's always been progressing. And last year, he's 9-7. So he's been moving up that ladder. And last year, well, this season that just passed, he found, I think, his niche in his offense, and it started clicking for him because he started putting up points.
yeah, he's throwing the ball a lot, I think.
And when I saw that game that he finally clicked, the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh no, here we go. This is going to be a roller coaster now. Because I know you, Coyote, you're putting up points, and now I'm like, now Arizona's going to start putting up points because you could look at it. You put up 437 points. Chicago put up 405. Arizona 385. I'm dead last at 375. And your defense, Coyote, is 350 allowed. So it's right there. Our defenses are close, so it's going to be one of those punch you in the face kind of thing to get to the top.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting next year.
And Howie, I agree with you on Harlem. By the way, I forgot about
Yeah, I like.
Excom. He's been doing a good job over there.
Yeah, I think he did. He's been drafting extremely well. But you got North Plainfield. He's always is. I don't know what the hell he's doing on defense, but it just seems like every year
Yeah.
his defense is in the top 5 every year. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something right. And you
Yeah,
got Toronto's there, and Kodos is doing a great job over there. And then you got Rochester with Rob. I think he is the commish at Red Zone, so he's gonna get turned around there. That'll be
Yeah,
an
he's gonna
interesting.
get that team turned around. It's very true.
Yeah,
Oh, Rochester, yeah. Rob from the RZB League. Is that what
Mm,
it's called?
yes,
Red Zone Blitz League.
yes. Yeah, that'd be nice to see that division
And we,
be a
we
lot
haven't
more.
even talked about the Southeast Division with all those 10-win teams. So
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that division
it's a
because you
crazy
got
division.
I don't. It's hard. I don't know. It'd be hard to be in the same division as Ben. I don't. Because
I don't. It's
Augusta
like
was.
you've almost resigned yourself to every single year. As it's, I got to play for a wild card. Like I don't envy any of those teams.
Well, that's how it was whenever I had Zach in our division. I mean, I was like, well, I'm gonna try to get a wild card.
Who owns Snapfinger? He's in such a tough division.
It's C4.
C4.
he,
Look at
yeah,
that.
he's been there forever.
Yeah.
He's got to win all his games outside of his division.
He's been there since 2025. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. Augusta has had the same owner for a long time too. So
Yeah, Saw Blade. He has some really good. He has really good stretch, really good seasons. He'll have a couple good seasons in a row. I remember when I first entered this league, he was having one of those really good seasons. I think he made a deep playoff run there, but it's probably hard to play in the same division as Ben. That's I think some of those teams in that division are probably a little underrated because they
yeah.
got to play Ben twice a year, and
Yes.
and especially whenever the previous owner for Orlando was there, he always had them playing extremely well too.
Yeah, and I think Orlando was actually,
See.
well, yeah, it was,
Yeah, he lost here to Ben, and he lost to Ben. So Augusta lost to
if he
Ben
wins one
twice.
of those two games, he wins the division. So
Yeah,
that's how
that's why
close it is.
that's why it's tough to be in the same division as Ben. He's got this game pretty well figured out almost, I'd say.
And
Orlando
he's still
lost to
learning
Ben.
new things. So
Yeah, which is amazing because he's been playing this game longer than anybody probably.
Like Orlando lost twice to Ben. So imagine Ben wasn't in his league, in his division, and he was playing someone else, and he beat those
Yeah.
people. He would be a 12-4, uh, or it would be 12-3 and one.
Who did who did Tucker lose to in their division?
He lost to one of the games was I know a team that had a bad
Oh,
record.
yeah, Snapfinger.
So North
Isn't that
Plain,
that's strange? That's another theory I got is that you every team is bound to have one real stinker of a game. It doesn't matter how good your team is, you're going to have one stinker.
yeah, the better be in the regular season.
but
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
notice, that stinker comes when you need that game badly.
Well, yeah. If you're Iowa, that comes in your first playoff game.
Oh yeah,
Look at North Plainfield. That their defense is solid. They held Ben to 13 points.
That's the way he's always been. I don't understand. I've looked through his game logs, and he's not doing anything interesting in the game logs. I don't know about his depth chart or the players he's picking, but his defense is always top 10, top 5, probably top 5 more often than not.
He is, yeah. I know he held me to 6 points. He held you to only. Oh, you did good against them. 23 points, Coyote.
I still lost it. I mean, that don't you know that's one of the games I watched. That was a pretty if I remember right, he jumped on us early, and we just had to throw a lot.
Yeah, when you lost to him, I was like, okay, it gives us a chance to maybe catch you guys. But then forget it. We just shit the bed. Um, I like the challenge in this. And I like that I have competitive GMs in my division because it allows me to brainstorm and try to figure out how can I beat you guys and hopefully put the right team on the field and the right game plan.
That's what
Yeah.
I like about this league because in every division there's like two or three or maybe four general managers or owners where you think, wow, these guys know what they are doing, and it makes this such a challenge to play in this league. It's actually, I think it's always an accomplishment to make the playoffs and get deep into the playoffs. It really says something about that you actually, well, yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's how I
found a way to win this game. So
yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I think this is one of the most competitive leagues there is, really. I know Red Zone's pretty competitive too. I mean these two leagues are pretty much neck and neck in terms of competitiveness, and it's really extremely tough to get to the playoffs. Just to get to the playoffs, extremely tough. I don't Winning the playoffs is a whole different story. You got to have a lot of luck involved there, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, it's it definitely one of those leagues where you have to put the effort in every single night to make a game plan, unless you're Malkbot and Megabot there, and
Yeah,
you know you know export every single night, because if you just on Monday you put a game plan together for the week and say I'll check it on Saturday, you might win one, but you're not gonna win three or four.
I think that's especially relevant when you're talking about defensive game plans. Like my offensive game plan hardly changes throughout the season. I'll usually adjust some things here and there if I find something that's not working or something that works better than I thought it would. But my defensive game plan, I game plan for each team, and that's why I'm only in one league because I
Yeah,
don't.
and I do the same thing. The defensive game planning is really where I fine tune everything. I'll put together the first in the preseason training camp, maybe the first couple of weeks of the season. Based on what my team's strength is, I might put together three or four different playbooks that I'll use and swap in and out. That changes things up a little bit, but the core offensively of what I do remains the same. It's defense that I change every single week or every single night.
Yeah, me too. I usually I go through my opponent's game logs and see what tendencies I can key on to if they're only targeting a receiver. If all their third downs out of like a 1-2-2 or they're targeting their X receiver, then I can be like, well, on third down and long 1-2-2, I can just double that receiver and just completely take that out of their game plan. And that, well, especially whenever I don't do a whole lot of spreadsheet stuff. I just kind of play the game, and I need nearly every advantage I can get when you're playing against guys that like Zach that have game planning down to a science, and you got Ben that's always drafting sixth round studs. I need every advantage I can get, and that's one of the advantages I found I can get.
I know you look at these guys when they draft these guys, and you're just like, how the hell are they getting these guys that are like 70 rated, 65 rated, in the
Uh,
back end of the draft?
there was one year that Malpal rebuilt his entire defense with late round picks. It was insane.
Wow.
yeah, there were third and fourth round picks. I sent all those picks to him, so
Oh, so
you
you're the
can
one that
blame
did
me.
that? you son of a bitch.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, and every one of those players, like you're like, whenever he drafts a player, and you don't realize that he drafted that player, and you just look at the bar profile, you're like, who picked that player? They don't look that good, and
Yeah,
you're like, oh, well, he picked them, so they're gonna get a 15-point increase after training camp, and it's just astounding. It's just amazing what some of those guys can do with the draft and how they have like what XCOM's doing with that stuff's incredibly fascinating to read. I could never put something together like that. My eyes would glaze over.
I have a question for you guys. Um, do you think building a team with top-rated players will do better than building a team where a certain player does extremely well, like uh, big play receivings at 100, or the main ratings that you need for a player to do well, but they're not rated highly? Would those teams do well, or do you need a team that's completely rated well to do well? For instance, like a defensive end that's only pass rush technique, and you're going to put them in, they're just going to go after the quarterback and sack them or knock them down or hurry them, as opposed to having a defensive end that's completely well rounded all the way around.
Well, I mean, Howie can probably speak more on that because he's got that end he drafted after I took Levine. That's been doing extremely well, and I think he's doesn't have the best run defense.
No, I don't know the game well enough to really give a definitive answer on that. But I'd like to think that you need some big players, but if you can fit other guys in with skill sets, they can kind of complement each other. Like if you get a big guy in as a defensive lineman or a nose tackle who can just has a high run stop bar. He's a big, a tall, heavy guy that might allow a defensive end that's not a stud to kind of get a couple of more sacks or a couple more pressures that he wouldn't if you didn't have a big stud defensive tackle next to him. I like to think that someplace in the game it's coded for that. But as Ben likes to say, there's not little guys in here playing football in your computer. So even though I like to think so.
Me too. I like to think so too. I like to kind of put a team together based on what I would do with a real football team.
Agree.
That's kind of part of even though it might not work that way, that's kind of part of the fun of it for me. Like the way I built my team these last couple of years, I built it around stopping the pass and throwing the ball. That's
but I have to say, like, I think my championship run is indicative of you don't need to have a team full of studs. My offense, my quarterback was a stud. I had a very solid offensive line, but on the defensive side of the ball, my cornerbacks were, I think, better than average. There weren't any standout any Pro Bowlers. The defensive end that I took was the game changer. Being able to force 4 or 5 hurries was key to me kind of getting over the hump. So I think that you don't have to be laden with stars, but you have to have key players in key positions based upon what you want to do defensively or offensively.
Yeah, I think you have. I think something that you have to have. You have to have one really, really good receiver, like kind of like how in like the 90s of the NFL, you had to have like a running back, like a bell cow running back.
Mm-hmm.
I think you kind of have to have a bell cow receiver that can absorb most of your targets. They can absorb 200 targets a year, 250 targets a year, and still get you good efficiency out of those targets.
Yeah, not drop the ball 10 times.
Yeah, yep. That's you don't want that. That's kind of how I build my. I kind of because I'm not that great at drafting, but I kind of every player I pick, I want them to be able to do a role extremely well.
Yeah, that's why I look at it too. You have to get big bars on your team, but you also have to find a way to use them. So.
Yeah, I think that's more important than having big bars, honestly, because big bars don't do you any good if you can't use those players in an efficient way.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that was helpful.
Yeah, I mean that's probably kind of the part of the reason that Arizona's teams kind of underperformed years ago. It seems like he always had extremely good players. I don't know that he had his game plan set up to use those good players.
I've noticed
Uh,
that if I did a test on that in single player, I had very good players, and I said, let me just do a shitty game plan. Let's see if this team will do well still. And the game plan can really mess up, even though you have a good team.
Yeah, it's it's extremely important.
Oh, and I would totally agree with that. I think my season last year was indicative of that. I mean, my offense didn't change very much. I changed up where I ran the football, and I went from being top of the league, top 10 running the ball, top 12 running the ball, to almost dead last, and I couldn't score points, and it was just because I over tinkered with my playbook.
I saw your post about that. You were upset because of that. I don't blame you. You're going from 12-4 down to 5-11. I would have
And
Yeah,
thrown my
yeah, and
computer out the window.
I did not have a good feeling about it after I uploaded it in the preseason, in training camp, and then after the preseason, I was just like, oh, man, I just shot myself in the foot.
yeah.
It was it's a classic example. If it's not broke, fix it till it is.
yeah. I'm one of those guys that every single year I just redo my playbook because I have different players every single year almost. And then there's been some years where I've like there was one time before I understood how familiars worked that I built my playbook around using the 203 formation because I didn't have a good tight end and I had three good receivers. So I was like, I'll just use the 203 formation and the 113. Well, you can't run the 203 as
No.
much as you would like to. You can only run, I think it's like 6 times. I think it depends on your offensive coordinator's play calling, how many times you can run those odd formations.
Yeah, I think it ties into the play calling. But there's some of these logs that I look at with Ben, and he'll run that. He'll run what's that the that
104?
yeah the 1-4. He'll run, but it's all running plays. He'll run like 13
Yeah.
running plays out of it.
Yeah, he's
But you
been
can
he's been
actually stop him on the run if he does that, so that it's you can defend against it.
yeah. I
Um,
don't I hope he doesn't listen to this, but every time I play Ben's team, I'm always like, all right, 104, we're doing cover one buzz. Because he's been doing that for years,
yeah.
in game years. There's a lot of other teams like that too that they have tendencies in certain formations.
But you can also look at how Orlando is doing it. He's just using the 2-1-2 and the 1-1-3 formation, and he's still winning games. So you don't have to use all the 203 and 131 and 104 formations. When you stick to the basic formation, you can still win games.
Yeah, like early in my FOF career here, it's like 2078. No, it was like 2080. Whenever I had Eric Keith and a couple of receivers, I ran my entire offense out of the 113.
Back here,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
20.
That can be it.
Yeah, you can see you only put up 233 of offensive points.
yeah. And there was some learning
It tells you
experiences in there.
it tells you how much the passing is huge.
And
Now,
I just like using multiple formations. Like I like having every single formation in my playbook to do something.
Me
Uh,
too. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I think I run out of all those odd formations. I'll have 3 plays in my playbook, and I'll run all 3 of those plays, twice. So I think I'm running, 005 6 times, 014 6 times, 014T 6 times. So I like having the variety.
I with those empty backfield sets like the 005 and 014. I usually just combine those, so I'm not running those empty backfield sets more than 6 times combined. I don't know if that helps with familiars or not, but it seemed. I remember one year that I was getting a problem with familiars out of that one of those sets, so I just started combining them whenever I add up how many times I'm running those.
Well, the season's about to start. I'm very psyched. I'm happy with my draft picks, and I can't wait to compete against Coyote and the rest of the guys. I'm not sure if I play you this year, Howie. Do we play the South? Do you know
I
their
don't know. I
division?
mean,
I just checked the
uh,
schedule. You can see it.
Oh, the schedule's you can see the schedule already.
Yeah.
No, not on the.
yeah, no, we do. Week 10.
Oh,
That means that
Week
your divisions will play each other.
week 10, Kansas is coming to Texas, and
Then you're also playing Iowa
yep, and I'm
on
at
Friday,
Iowa on week
Arizona.
7.
All right, Howie. I need you to take down Coyotes, Iowa.
hey, I played at Texas last year, week 13.
I'll be rooting. How about you, Matt? Do we play? Do we jump over to your conference?
No, we're playing the Western Division this season and the Southeast Division. So we're playing Tucker and Augusta and Orlando and Oakland, and it's a very tough schedule this
Oh
season.
boy, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fun to see what when the dust settles on that. Who comes out?
maybe we were winning 10 games and missing the playoffs on tiebreakers for another time. So we're
That's
gonna
happened to you
see.
more than once, hasn't it? Recently, didn't you win 10 games not that long ago and you missed the playoffs?
I
Let's
don't
see.
know. It was last season, but before that it was eight victories,
No.
7 victories, 8 victories,
Seven,
stuff
and
like
then
that.
Hey guys, I got to run. This has been fun. Thank you very much.
no, we
Um, Coyote, hey, congratulations again on the win last season. And Matt, hey, thanks for everything you do with those bowl broadcasts. I have to say that when I was playing, it was great to sit down at work and come back and just kind of keep tabs of what was going on. You make the IHOF a much better place. So
Oh
thank you
Thank
yeah,
you.
for doing that.
definitely.
be good.
That's
Have
My
a good
pleasure
one,
to
Howie.
do that. Yeah.
Hey, you two guys. Hey, thanks again for the chat. Good luck next season, guys. We'll see you on the boards.
See you then.
yeah,
See you around.
Yeah,
yeah.
guys, we could
That's
call it here.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank Matt for doing, especially the playoff thing he does at the end of the year. That's extremely fun to see the playoff probabilities, and then the bowl broadcast just brings it to a different level.
That's right.
My
Where
pleasure to do this stuff.
and
So
it was especially being in my first bowl, and it was. I think I broke my reload button on my computer just hitting reload on that the whole time.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing. You got to reload to see what happens, and all of a sudden, like 4 plays goes by.
I know it's even more intense when you're in the bowl game and you're pressing reload.
I can I can certainly see how it goes. Yeah.
But listen, guys, it was fun doing this thing. I just wanted to, shoot the shit about our league and hear you guys talk about your teams and your draft and about the league. But it's all good.
Thanks for reaching out to us to make this happen.
Anytime,
Yeah,
guys.
we should do it again sometime.
Anytime, guys. We can reach out to each other and maybe mid-season or at the end of the season, we can talk about what just happened.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool doing a mid-season review, kind of
That
talk
sounds
about things halfway through the season.
all right. That sounds like a plan. All right, guys. I will load this up on YouTube and I'll post it in the forum and, let everyone watch it.
All right, thanks for doing this.
Be good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good time, guys.
Yep, see ya.
Have a good one. See you around.